We're back, and today we're getting ready to make some crab cakes, and we're calling them Teddy's Krabby Patties. Yeah, I think that's funny too. So, this is what we're going to do. We're going to start with some cornbread breadcrumbs, and I used the Petridge Farm, and I used about half the bag. Okay, so I think it's about a 12-ounce bag, so you'll probably use about 6 ounces of it. I will add 1 medium onion and like 2-3 ounces of celery to this recipe. And this makes quite a few patties. I want to try to put everything together and have everything prepared, so all I got to do is just put this together and make this happen for you guys today. Okay, today also I'm going to add my seasoning, some garlic powder, a little of the Tony Cheshire Creole seasoning, and some red pepper. Now, the red pepper is optional. You can do the red pepper. I like it to have a little bite. And then these seasonings, if this is not enough for you, just add a little bit more. And so I'm kind of being a little bit modest because I really like salt with my food or in my food. So I'm really being modest with the recipe because I know people are trying to control their sodium intake. So I would like with the seasoning, but you can make this as spicy as you want. If you want, I put like a quarter of a teaspoon of red pepper. For some that might be too much. For others it might be like, what you doing? You playing. You need to add a little bit more. So this is just a jumping off point for anybody and for you to go ahead and get your seasonings for this recipe going. So we're going to throw that in. And then we're going to add crab. So this is a pasteurized crab. It's more from the claws. You buy it at your seafood section in your grocery stores. It's in the refrigerated section, so you can't buy this on the shelf. You have to get this from your seafood area in your grocery store, and it's in the seafood case where it's refrigerated. So we're going to throw in 8 ounces of the crab. Kind of breaking it up as I go. This is great also for like if you just want to take a salad and you just want to just add a little flavor to a salad and and give it a little bit of a protein. This is great for that. So I'm just going to take and mix all of this up. Get all the flavors to start to marry. Okay, now I took 2 pieces of pollock because I like a little fish in my crab cakes because it makes them a little moister, helps them to adhere to each other better, and it keeps them nice and moist. So I took 2 pieces of whitefish. You can use any kind of whitefish you want. You can use cod, you can use tilapia, you can use whatever kind of fish you want. Or whitey, but I decided to use pollock. Pollock's pretty inexpensive. I just got a couple of pieces out. I seasoned it up. As you can see, there's some black pepper, a little bit of the Creole seasoning on top of that, and I'm just going to break it up and add it to my crab cakes. I'm going to use my hands. We're just going to add it to the crab cakes. Now, quick little wash. You always want to have clean hands, especially around this coronavirus season. You want to make sure your hands are washed at all times. So now I'm going to add 4 eggs to this. They're already cracked, of course. And then we're going to mix this together. Now, as you're mixing this, it will start to come together, become nice and emulsified, but you might have to add a little water to get the texture that you want to get to make your patties. But the eggs are going to be your emulsifier, and they're going to be what's going to cause the patties to stick together. as you can see, it's starting to get to the point where you can form it and turn it into like a patty. But we want all of the breadcrumbs to get nice and saturated. Now, in the process of making this, this is going to be like, this can be your main entree. You can use these to make a sandwich with. There's been times when I've taken it and I've patted them out, fried them up using avocado oil, because I like to use the healthier oils, and avocado oil has a high smoke point, so it won't start to smoke until it gets really, really hot, so you can use it for frying, and it really gives your food a good flavor. But I take them and I make the patties, and sometimes I will put like a slice of cheese on top, lettuce, tomato, a little bit of tartar sauce, and you can make a nice sandwich with it. Otherwise, if you want to use it as your main entree, you can use it as your main entree, and you can serve it with a salad, or you can serve it with some vegetables, and a couple of vegetables on the side with it, and it makes a really nice main entree. So, putting it together, and it's coming together nicely. So then what I do is I add a little bit of water. Measuring cup. A little bit of water. It could be cold water. I don't have to be ice cold, straight from the tap. And now I'm going to go over this with about 4 ounces of water. And it's going to cause it to get really moist. It's going to break down the cornbread breadcrumbs. And the reason that I use cornbread breadcrumbs instead of white breadcrumbs, because you can get the white breadcrumbs. I prefer the corn breadcrumbs because, one, there's no gluten in them, and two, it tastes better to me. It's not as I think the white bread is just a little bit too, I hate to use the word bouncy, but when you cook them, they're really, really firm. But this has a nice bite to it. They're tender, they're easy to break apart, and you're going to really get a nice mouthfeel from the cornbread. So, I'm going to take a break for a minute because I want this to kind of sit for a couple of minutes so that the cornbread can saturate and really be nice and moist. And then when I come back, I'm going to patty them up. I'm going to bread them with the cornbread breading, and then I'm going to fry them. Okay? See you in a minute. Alright guys, I let it sit for a little bit, and now it's really saturated, and I can take it and make balls with it. And then I'm going to patty it out, roll it in my cornmeal, and then deep fry it. Now this cornmeal that I'm using, first of all, it's in my Cowboys dish. I'm a Cowboys fan, don't hate, I love my Cowboys. But this cornmeal that I'm using here is that, what is that called? It's called the fish fry mix, seafood breading mix. And that's what I use to bread this with. You can use this, of course, to bread fish, to bread shrimp, whatever you want to use as far as seafood goes. Scallops works really good. It gives it a good flavor, and it adds a nice salt flavor, so you don't have to do a lot of seasoning to your seafood, because this is going to season your seafood. So, not to prolong, let's do a nice little handful of it. I like to make them even bigger than that, actually. I like big patties. Patty them out, get them nice and round. Let me check my oil and make sure that it's ready for frying. That's how you test your oil. Take a little bit of crumbs in there, and if it bubbles up, starts to cook it instantly, it's ready. So what I do is I just take it, roll it into the cornmeal. And the cornmeal is going to help you get a nice little crust on your Crabbie patties. Just set them right down into the oil. I'm going to do quite a few of these. And this makes, depending on the size that you like, this will make maybe 6 to 8. Maybe even more than that. patties this size. If you want them smaller, you can make them smaller, but I like them to be nice and big. Again, this is going to be my main entree. This is going to be what I'm going to have for my meal. So whatever vegetable or side, be it rice, be it a pasta, it's only going to enhance this, but this is going to be the star of the meal. And as you can see, it holds together really nice. Doesn't stick to your hands very much. Again, if you want them to be bigger, make them bigger. If you want them to be smaller, make them smaller. Everything in this pretty much is cooked other than the onions and the celery. And so once you fry them, once you fry the patties, the onion and the celery will get nice and tender. It's like you do when you're making like salmon croquettes or something like that. It's the same process. It pretty much works exactly the same way. But as you can see, they're big, they're pretty. I'm only going to try to do 4 in the skillet. Now I use a granite skillet as opposed to using like Teflon or something like that. Teflon has a tendency to get into your system, and I looked at a little bit of research, and it said that 99.9% of Americans have some Teflon in their blood system. So this is something that only 1% of Americans don't have it, and you know who the 1% is? The 1% are the Americans that are not born yet. How ironic is that? So, I don't use it anymore. Either I'm going to use a copper skillet, or I'm going to use my stainless steel Wolfgang Puck skillets. That's how we're going to do our cooking these days. Again, I'm a retired food service director. I've done food all my life, and so now that I am retired, this is my passion. So I'm going to let these cook. I'm going to turn these in a minute, let them get nice and golden brown, and then we're going to turn them, and then I'm going to show you what they look like once they turn, and then we're going to show you the finished product. Okay? See you in a minute. Guys, we're back. Take my fan off. We're back. Now I want you to see how golden brown they are. They get a nice crisp coating from the breading. You fry them up. They turn out really nice. And again, the fish that we add to it really makes these patties heartier. So this is really, like I said, a really good main entree for you guys to try. And I let these cook probably about 10 minutes maybe. I flip them on each side twice so they can get nice and golden brown, and so the onion and the celery can get nice and tender, you know, and start to cook and get heated all the way through. So we're going to take them out now and let you see how beautiful they are, because they're very pretty. Okay, now cut my fire off. We're going to go over here to the table because we got to try one. We got to see what one tastes like. So you can get me a little small plate. I'm going to sample one. I'm going to cut this one in half because it looked like it was trying to break on me anyway. That's okay. Nice and crunchy. Breading on the outside is really nice. Okay. As you can see, you got that nice little crunch, crunchy edge, tender inside. It's got the filling. Again, like I say, the fish really makes this a hearty meal. So I'm gonna good, really hot, but I like my food hot. Got that crunch to it, really tasty. That cornbread, got a nice bite to it. And with the cornbread again, you get that nice, tender mouthfeel from it. And again, with the fish in there added to it, it's really amazing. Go ahead and take this and eat that too. Okay, guys, this is the recipe. The seasoning is spot on. I wanted to make sure that the seasoning that I put in the recipe was a good amount of seasoning. This is perfect. So follow this to the letter. We're getting ready to show you the recipe now. And I want to say thank you to you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for just supporting me. This is a passion of mine. I love to cook and I love to share my recipes. Again, thank you. See you again soon. The next time we're going to do a nice little vegetarian chili recipe. Talk to you soon. Thanks. Bye.